Hey Flavio, today we have a small chat about kind of like the theory stuff about this industry because we have lots of students who have no idea how it works. For these guys, we are kind of like some magic people who creates beautiful images, but they had no idea how it works. So, and first of all, let's have a chat a bit about where all these crazy designers like you and me retouchers are born. Are they kind of like the side? Are they born from kind of like the cyber specific accent place, or they are real people in this industry? Could you tell a bit more about how did you start to work in this industry?
Sure. I think this it's an interesting question because we have a lot of different backgrounds when we're working with Photoshop and creative retouchers, and as it's something new, it's a new tool. I mean, it's like 10 years, and at least in Brazil, I don't know. It's in Russia. We don't have a specific school for photo retouching or CGI. So everything is kind of self-taught. Everybody's working and trying to learn for themselves. And in my case, I was graduate in graphic design.
Okay, it was kind of like education.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It's my education. I was graduate in graphic design because...
Nice, at least you have the profile, the specific education.
yes.
Because my education is doctor and...
Once in my life, I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
Yes, but I decided that no, it's not my thing. It's not my thing. It happens when I was about 12 or 13 years old. I started to become a fan of rock music, and heavy metal music. So I started to become...
It was a period with huge LP
Yes,
covers.
LP. So those rock covers, those heavy metal covers, they was amazing. There was amazing illustration. Iron Maiden has the most incredible art covers. So I decided that that's what I have to do in my life. I mean, I wanted to create rock covers. So I decided to study graphic design.
Yeah, that's cool.
And when I was graduated, Photoshop was, a new thing. I mean, it's really...
Do you remember your first day when you opened the Photoshop?
I know. Actually, I don't know, man. I remember that I used to work with in a studio that creates CD-ROM. CD-ROM,
Okay.
it's a thing like, it's pre-internet. It's pre-internet. It's before internet. So we have to create some presentations and things like that. So we start to use Photoshop to create, the screens, the background, things like that.
Design.
Yeah, small designs. Used to work with CorelDRAW and things like that. And Photoshop was, a new tool, a new software. And I started learning. And then I met Leonardo,
Who was photographer. Yeah.
And he was starting to use Photoshop to retouching
His
own shoots, his own images. And it was like, oh, it works. It's nice for this, because I'm, using Photoshop for design, design things. It's not on this purpose to retouching, photos. And I was looking at the Leonardo work and say, okay, I can do this and better than you. And it was like, oh yeah, really? So, yes, I can do.
Challenge accept.
Yeah, challenge accept. I start to, create my own photo retouching. And I started showing him. And it was like, okay, you can do this. This is nice. And
that's really better than mine.
Yeah, it's better than me. And he called me to be partner of Platinum. At that time, Platinum was just a photo studio. It's just a photo studio that Leonardo was the photographer, and we started retouching small things. It was in the really beginning of this whole, digital industrial thing. So we started just doing small retouching. That's what the beginning.
Yeah.
It was the beginning. Yeah.
And then step by step you started to do more
Yes, and then,
complicated
yes, and
things.
then step by step we are, like I said, we are just a small retouch, and then we kind of started to, fuse image. Okay, let's try to take this, photo and mix it with this one. Let's see if it works. And we start to, add in something, a new sky, for example,
Yeah.
things like that.
Replacing.
Things like today is, really simple, really, usual.
Select the sky.
Select the sky,
change it.
but
Those days
20
with
years
no-
ago, nobody changed this sky in a photo.
Yeah, you couldn't just open the Shutterstock, choose the sky, whatever
Yes.
you wish. And for the replacing, first of all, you had to find this sky, took a picture of this sky,
Yes, yes,
and then
yes.
replace. Yeah, it was a
Yes.
bit of complicated.
Yes, yes.
So, what do you think about nowadays? Is it is it the same situation, or it has a difference about the education of design? What about Brazil? Because in Russia, I think we have just a couple of online universities or dozens of tutorials at YouTube, and probably for me it was a bit better. It was 10 years ago, and I still remember the Gnomon workshop tutorials. It was really expensive, but we just tried to find another guys who already bought these tutorials, and we did the copies in the disk to each other and look at it many times and try to find a way, because YouTube was really empty these days, no any tutorials, try. And I still remember the book, when you open the book, read the book about some stuff and try to copy. So what do you think about nowadays?
Yeah, nowadays we have, like I said, we have internet. So internet is full of everything. Everything. We have, a bunch of tutorials, and at that time we didn't have. So it was hard for us, and maybe for you too, to learn those things. But even with the internet, I don't think we have a proper school of, I won't say Photoshop, but I would say to create images for advertising. So it's very specific. So because Photoshop has a lot of purpose, and this is one of those purposes. And I still don't think we have a proper school. Like here, we have some online courses in Brazil, but we have a lot of tutorials. And I have, at least in Brazil, we have some sort of, artists that wants to share their knowledge, and they are, posting some tutorials on the internet too. So I think the best way to learn is to
like Milton with
yeah, like the guys, and that's it. We don't have a proper school.
From my experience, when I've been working in foreign companies, usually, and for example, when I was working with Platinum, it's kind of like multinational culture, multinational teams. What do you think? Why it happens? Why the different companies try to hire different artists from different places in the world? Because world is really huge. So, and what's the problem to find a nice artist exact in your place? So, what do you think? What's the specific?
Yeah, on our Platinum's case was that we couldn't find, because like we said, we have this huge problem of have a proper institution to teach Photoshop and everything that we don't have a school. And it was hard to find some artists who has the skill that Platinum needs at that time. So we tried to find in Brazil those artists, and that time we couldn't. So that's how we started working or searching on internet. And suddenly we realized that those type of artists that we are trying to find, all of them come from cold places like Russia, like Ukraine, and Estonia. I mean, it's hard to find, maybe because Brazil is very sunny and people, go out, doesn't, spend
spend too many, so many,
so many
times.
hours in front of the computer studying and doing, sketches. So that's why we hire, somebody from another countries. And also there is a side effect of that, because when we have some different, artists from different countries, they bring
New experience.
their
from
experience,
those
their
places.
culture, and I think when we, add those, things into an image, it creates something new, something better. So it's good to have those, because in Platinum we have people from all over the Brazil. I mean, we have people from the south part, we have people from the north,
part.
we have people from the Rio de Janeiro, São Paulo, and it keeps, keep the team, different and multicultural, and it's a nice thing. It's a nice thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you think, is it important, because sometimes I feel that it's a bit more personal stuff, because at this moment, lots of knowledge is in the internet, which you can find, it's easy, and it's more personal and unique stuff, and when the one guy tried to find these tutorials because he's burning of the idea and he wants to create these tutorials, he has this passion to create, and this is the main thing which help these people like that to be a good artist. So I think that at this moment we have lots of knowledge, and the difference between a successful artist and not successful artist is the passion.
Yes, I completely.
What do you think about?
Yes, I completely agree with you, and I think those guys that are very successful in his field nowadays, they want to share the knowledge. It's because one day they need this knowledge, and so they feel that sharing this knowledge today.
Try to help the
Try to
new
help
generation.
Yeah, the new generation, and it's very nice. And you have to be careful because you have a lot of tutorials on the internet, and those are some are good, some are not. So you
Yes.
have to be very careful on these tutorials because it's tricky. It's tricky.
Yes.
But I kind of agree with you. I mean, the best tutorial is from the guys who has this passion inside. So they know about it. They know how to teach because they know how to do it.
Yeah.
So that's important thing. It's really important.
So now let's talk a bit more about the remote job. I think. What do you think? Is it kind of like the new direction, or it's you used to have an experience to work remotely with some guys? Or just what do you think? Is it in the internet days? Is it really important to be in house of exact this company, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question because we have. I mean, Platinum has a team, has an inside team, but we also work remotely with another, artists, and for us, it's a bit tricky because honestly, when you are working together in the same place, I think it works best than work remotely because you have interaction with the artist. Somebody gives some opinion in real time and feedback. It's real online. Even if you are online on the internet, what happens? Yeah, it's not the same because what happens is if you're working remotely, especially if you are us, you are working remotely, so you don't want to, show something that you don't think it's nice. So you used to spend a day or at least a half a day to send something to the studio, at least for Platinum.
Yeah, to the art
And sometimes
direction.
you work like 4, 5, 6 days, 6 hours. So you send the image to Platinum. And maybe it's good, okay, but maybe it's not. So
And the wrong direction.
yeah, in the wrong direction. So you spend 6 hours of your working going to the wrong direction. If you are working inside the house, inside Platinum, I mean, it's a big chance that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
because maybe I will take a look, or other guy will take a look and say, oh no, don't do this way, do that way. So, but at the same time, I think it's very usable. It's very new, and it's very useful, because I mean, it's hard to keep a big team inside. So, and
because you need, as you told, sometimes it's difficult to find the guy inside your place, around your place, at your town, and it's really tricky to find another guy in another country and bring him to your place, because at least you need to have lots of problems with visa.
Yes.
It takes time.
A lot of bureaucracy,
Yeah, that's crazy. So, and sometimes this guy probably he's living not in the cold place like Russia. Probably he's living in warm Italy, and or like Pepe, he hates warm weather. You know, he just personally he doesn't want to move and live in the warm place because he hates sun. He hates blue sky. Yeah, it's for me it sounds weird, but it is what it is. So yeah, and it's not just the paperwork. Sometimes it's personal stuff. But he's really nice guy, and you want to work with him. But yeah, he doesn't want to move in Brazil.
Yeah, but like I said, it's something that it's sometimes it's fast to work remotely with somebody, and you need a specific artist for something, and you don't have this in house. So that's why we call another artist and go, oh, can you do this? And yes, it works. And
I think sometimes it's useful to make your company bigger for a short time if you are really busy with requests at this moment. But for example, in the next couple of months, you don't need to have so big company, so big team. So, and that's useful. I think, what do you think about this question? Is it useful to have an experience, kind of like the short experience to work with freelancer inside your house? For example, to work with him at the one place, for example, for a couple of weeks or for 1 month. Is it does it help to work with him for the next time? Because, for example, I had experience with Recom, and they said me, first of all, we need to work in one place to meet to each other, to realize the specific pipeline, to specific skills, because then it will help us a lot to work remotely if we will do that. So what do you think? Is it really useful?
Yes, really useful. We did that with you.
Yes,
we hired you for a month, and the other guy, the other Jim, and it was cool because we meet each other in person. You saw the place, you know the people, you know how we work, we know the approach that we used to have on our image. So this personal contact, I think, is really important. You have to, meet the person, trust, rely the person, see that this person exists.
Yes, touch him.
Yeah, touch
drink
him.
with him.
Yes, touch him. It's really important to feel the people, and then you can start to trust in this artist. That's what we used to do. First, we need to meet the person, and then start to work with him. It's very important. I think it's very important. Because when you work remotely, it's not about the talent of the artist. The artist has to have a responsibility. That's the most important thing. A talent without responsibility is useful. It has to have a responsibility. So that's important.
Yeah. I think it could be interesting to tell people a bit more about in general, the structure of the advertising industry, because lots of our students, they are from digital industry, or they are just at the beginning of their way in this direction. So, and they have in their imagination just kind of like the client and the final beautiful image. They have no idea what happens inside between these two main points. So, and from my experience, all the world it has the same kind of like the main structure in this industry. So, what do you think? Could you tell a bit more about
How it works?
Yeah. Who is the big branches like the Liu Burnett and the BDO and the connection between?
Yeah, like you said, I mean the market, I mean the industry works like this. You have the big clients, you know, the
Kind of
big-
like Coca-Cola or car
Coca-Cola,
brands.
Nike, Nissan, the big range of watches, cars, beverage, Coca-Cola, everything. So you have big clients or small clients.
Or small
clients. They come after two agents.
Yeah, they have a problem. They need to
Yeah.
create some
Advertisement, media, you know, everything, media, social media, everything. So the agents have the structure to make all of those things. I mean, the advertising, film production, social
Yeah,
media.
because usually they're big. It's
Yeah.
some of, I think, kind of like 10 or something like that, the most huge monsters, branches of advertising. Kind of like, I think in each country you can find Leo Burnett,
Yes.
BBDO, TBWA, and so McCann. Yes, and so on.
Those
It's
are-
kind of like the huge monsters
Yes.
of the world.
Basically, how it works. So the clients go to the agents create everything. On our case, print and film image, print image and films. We have to, we used to have like a art director and a copywriter that used to work together. They create, for example,
The idea,
the
concept.
main concept. They present to the client. The client said, "Okay, I like it. Let's produce it." So that's our role.
Our goal.
Yeah, that's when the agents, which is our clients, who is hiring us is the agents, at least who is calling us to do the job.
Yes.
So the art direction choose 1, 2, or 3 studios to.
And usually, from my experience, they are trying to find in the different folios of different companies the most closest case
Yes.
what he needs to produce.
Yes.
Kind of like if in his idea he has a beautiful orange in the layout, he tried to find exact the same orange in
Yes.
some folios.
In some
If
portfolios.
someone has kind of like apple,
Yes.
and which exactly I think the same process
Yeah.
of creating, but Apple doesn't work.
Yes.
He's trying to find the orange
Yes.
because it's kind of like it gives him feelings of successful
Yeah.
of creating the
They feel more
final-
safe.
More safe.
Yeah,
yes.
they feel more safe. So basically, the agents choose the post-production or the photo shooting studios to do the job, to create the image, then we present to the agents. The agents, they are direct approve it, goes to the client approve it, and that's how the structure goes. Nowadays, they are changing a little bit. Now we have, with this world economic crisis, we have some clients that has sort of a list, I would say that, a list of post-production studios that he can work directly. So in some cases, the agent is being cut off for the process.
From this process.
Yes, from this process, for small things. But I mean, the structure is like this: big clients, agents, post-production studios. That's it.
Yeah. And sometimes, do you have an experience of creating the ideas for directly to the client, or in general, it's an idea from somewhere?
Yeah. Actually, most of the ideas came from the agents, but we at Platinum, we are very good at suggesting things. We used to say that's a collaboration work. Sometimes the art director has an idea, I mean, sort of a initial idea, and we make this idea to the next level. So we work in collaboration. It's something that Platinum does a lot. But the main idea is from the agents.
From the agents,
Yes.
yeah. It's kind of like the separated product which is created by agency or something like that. So yeah, and if you look at the structure here, we have kind of like the main huge client, then it's kind of like the huge agencies, then it's kind of like the post-production companies. And for example, here we have a designer who is trying to, at the moment, who is listening us and trying to realize, okay, couple of huge monsters, where could I find my place? So, and I think we should tell a bit more about the structure of post-production companies, because from my experience, again, all the companies, they have almost the same structure. It's kind of like the CGI department, guys who created some CGI stuff, 3D, or some CGI effects and something like that. Or,
Yes. The structure, I think the structure of all post-production studios are
close.
basically the same. Yes, basically the same. We have, at least at Platinum, we have three main departments, which is the photography department, because Platinum is originally a photo studio. We have the post-production photo retouching studio, and we have the CGI part. So we blend all three departments together to create an image. And I think the most studios has the
and
same.
I think for the third department is kind of like bookkeeper and the main guy.
Oh, bookkeeper, yes, yeah, bookkeeper. But some of the CGI studios doesn't have a photo studio, so just photo shooting area, photo shoot department. Some of them are just CGI and photo,
Just the
photo retouching. Yeah,
post-production.
that's post production. Platinum has the three of
The
them.
three these directions.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if if I can give you like a piece of advice for this guy who wants to
To be a part
of this
pyramid.
structure, I want to create a post-production studio. You have to-
Probably even not studio, probably how to be a part of
Yeah,
this chain.
Yeah. I used to think that you have to think that you are a baby. And baby, you have first of all you have to learn how to turn.
Okay.
Then you have to learn how to crawl.
Yes.
Then you have to learn how to walk. Then you have to learn how to run. And then you have to learn how to fly. So, I mean, you're not going to become a big, post-production studio overnight. You have to think, small. Go step by step.
Day by day.
Day by day. And then, Platinum, now we are successful, we are big, but once in a while we're like this. Just me and Leonardo doing some, small things. So you don't need to think big at the beginning. Just go step by step. Think small, step by step, and then you get there. Again, with passion, hard work, very, very, very hard work.
That's definitely
Yeah, you go there. You're gonna get there. That's a piece of advice that I can give you to the young students.
What do you think, for example, at nowadays? Because sometimes guys ask me, what should I start first? CGI? What should I learn Photoshop, or should I know everything to get hired from some company, kind of like the Platinum, or I don't know, any other companies? So what should I do? What's the kind of like the level? Yeah. What's the difference between, like you said, as a baby? What should I do first? For example, should I start to turn, or should I start to learn how to open my eyes, or what's the direction?
Oh, I think everybody has to know Photoshop.
Okay.
Photoshop is the basic, because even in CGI,
Must have.
Yeah, it's a must-have. It's a must-have. Even the CGI artists, they know how to work with Photoshop. They are not specialists, but they know how to work. So, the first piece of advice: learn Photoshop.
it's kind of like start to turn for the
Yes,
baby.
yes, yes. You have to learn Photoshop. And then if you are, for Platinum, it's important to have a base on all those tools. I mean, CGI is very important today. So yes, it's a little bit more complicated because we have a lot of, because in post-production, you just only have Photoshop. So you're gonna learn Photoshop, that's it. But in CGI, you have a lot of different softwares. You have
It's
3D
really-
Max, you have Modo, you have Lightwave, you have so
And changes
changes
really quick.
everything very quickly every day. Something that you learn one day, the next day, they change it. You have to learn again, and it's very scary sometimes. But you have to be comfortable with the software that you're gonna use, and then we're gonna blend this CGI in Photoshop together. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a hybrid artist nowadays.
Yes.
It's a hybrid artist.
Yeah, and from my experience, it's kind of like, the Photoshop is the most important thing, because even if you do some not really good CGI, if you know Photoshop, you
can save.
You can save. You
Yeah.
can finish it perfectly.
Yeah.
So about CGI, nowadays we have, for example, lots of renders, kind of like Octane, Corona, V-Ray, but all of these renders, they are about the same.
Yes.
You can get the same process from each render. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't have any huge difference. It's almost, it's kind of like a choice. It's kind of like the cell phone brand.
Yeah.
Which do you prefer, Android, iPhone, or some Chinese brand?
But the purpose is the same.
Yes,
The final result
yes.
is
The final result is the same.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a tool, and up to you. Yeah, for sure. We have some specific software, kind of like the Marvelous Designer, specific for clothes, Real Flow for liquids. But it's really tiny. That's a specific. But the main things are the base in Photoshop and the base knowledge in 3D. Because if you have these two base, you can play with this like a tools.
Yes. I completely agree with you.
Yeah. And I have one interesting question, because sometimes we have some difference between kind of like the names of different positions. From your Brazilian view, from Brazilian structure, who's the art director? Which function?
Okay. I mean, the structure I think it's almost the same in all the agencies in the world. You have the VP, that we call the vice president, is more like a businessman. And above them, just below them, we have the creative director, who is, I would say in a simpler way, is the boss of the art director. And below them, we have the art director, who is the guy who creates everything. The creative director kind of manage the work of a supervisor of the art director works. So, but he has to approve. And sometimes the VP has to approve what the creative director does. So it's a kind of step by step. So the structure is VP, creative director, art director.
What do you think? Is it important for a director to know all the process and have some skills, some real skills in Photoshop, or some knowledge in CGI, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's not mandatory, but I think that helps a lot. If the art director knows the tools, they know how to talk with the post-production, so they know how to ask the tasks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's really important, I think, that the art director have to know the post-production, CGI. They don't need to be an expert, but at least has a basic knowledge of the matter. I think it helps a lot.
Yeah, because, for example, in our Russian industry, art director is the step of designer. For example, art director, the most powerful designer in the studio, or probably it's the most older designer in the studio, kind of like that. So, and yeah, for me it was just a bit interesting. For me, it could be interested what's the difference, you know, these graduations in some places, because usually in Russia, especially in the digital industry, the art director has, you know, this knowledge because he's from designer. This kind of like the next level of good designer. So, but if we are talking about the big agencies, kind of like the big branches, usually art director is kind of like it's more about the way which you told before. It's a bit another industry and something like that.
Yes.
So, and what do you think? What's the main important skills for a director to be a good point of producing the goods?
Yeah.
The good.
Like we say, I think it's important for a good art direction have a good eye. You know, it has to feel, and it's important to have a visual culture. They had to, you know, such a lot of reference. They have to know the tools like basic of photography, of CGI, of post-production. So they will be able to create something nice to present to the client and then go to the post-production house. But I mean, I think it's important to have this, you know, acknowledgement of those tools, and it has, this feeling. It has something that it has to do with image. It has to be very, very visual culture. You know what I'm saying? That's important.
Yeah, because I think sometimes, especially you, when you have the lots of guys in your team, sometimes it's you're kind of like a director for your team, because you're kind of like the final point before the agency, who has this view, who has these feelings, how it should be, and I think
the final look,
the final look, and I think that sometimes you have this role.
Yes. Sometimes we have to work like an art director
kind
inside the house.
Inside the house.
Yes. That's it.
Yeah, that's interesting. And one more question. I think you are really busy at the work usually, and you're creating lots of advertising, beautiful prints. But do you like to paint something for yourself, for your soul, for fun? What's that?
Yes, I like. I mean, because advertising industry, it's cool. I love what I do. But sometimes it's because you have, you know, some art director guiding you, some client guiding you, and sometimes you don't do what you really want to do. I mean, you don't have
to follow this.
Yeah, you have to follow.
Wishes.
You have to follow, and you don't have too much freedom on this type of, you know, image that we create. And like I said, I love music, and I love, you know, CDs, art cover. That was my main, you know, goal. And I used to work. Now I'm working with creating some, you know, CD covers. So you have more freedom. You have, you know, you deal directly with the artist, which sometimes it's good.
Because they trust you.
They trust you. They actually hire you as an artist, so they want to see your point of view, and this is very cool. That's what I do in my free time. I do CD covers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember yesterday you told that you have a dream to create the cover for AC/DC.
Yes.
And I think it's gonna be a really nice case, you know. Try to send. Probably all our students today will be able to send the link to the AC/DC with platinum links to their portfolio and say, these guys are really crazy and they want to create the cover for AC/DC.
The most beautiful cover
Yes,
of
and
all time
probably
for
if
AC/DC.
AC/DC would get, you know, hundreds of emails about the link, probably they open one of them and they will love it and
Yes.
they will hire you for create the
Oh,
AC/DC.
that'd be my dream. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you guys can help me.
Yes,
I'll be more than pleasure. I'll be more than
let's send
happy.
a mail to AC/DC and everything be cool.
Okay, that's cool.
Thanks a lot for this
Thank you, man.
talk and yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.